just a poor boy from Liverpool. I'm just a poor boy from Liverpool.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. It's history tonight. Yes, history, loads of it. And I hope you'll enjoy it. Stay with me. Because what this is about is the First World War. Now, you mightn't think, or, how did this war begin? Because seeds are always sown before a war. Even what's going on today, the seeds were well and truly sown. For example, Israel had sown this war with Iran for 40 years. And it's finally happened for them. So this is what this is all about. It's about the First World War. And some of the great people of Liverpool. And what was the impact it had on Liverpool? Which was immense, by the way. Immense. I'm going to bring in my old mate. There he is. There, he's waiting to come on. He hasn't seen. I hope he's looked at the intro, because it's a new intro. I hope you liked it as well out there.
Loved it.
What did you think?
Oh, loved it, Frank. Absolutely wonderful. Between you and Jason, that is a fantastic intro, yeah. And for me personally, some wonderful heroes in that footage. Yeah.
And what even the literature.
Yeah.
People, I'm not saying our chatters because we have spoken about the literature and how it applies to today.
Yes.
Especially the visionaries and the art itself. The art itself. And Leonardo da Vinci. One of the greatest. And, he was a visionary.
Possibly the greatest. And he was an observer of life, which all of our greats were, whether they be writers, artists. It's just those that take the time to observe.
I remember, do you know what I remembered, Anthony? Niccolo Machiavelli. Right.
Yeah.
I read about him. Yeah, I'm talking about years ago.
Yeah.
And I was reading because I love the philosophers, And I couldn't think who said about women. He said, and the understanding of women. I forget who it was, this is what I was thinking. I forget it. And it's brilliant. It's a great philosophy about women.
Yeah.
Really was, what he was saying. But I forgot it was him. And he's going back, you're going back to 1480 or something like that.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Wow.
And, I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say he's kind of very underrated in modern sense, because when you hear his name, it's associated with the negative side of life.
Villainy.
He was just on it. Yes, there was evilness around, and guess what? It still is.
Yeah.
No.
And we always say, don't we, a Machiavellian villain.
Yeah.
That's what we always say.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just one of those things, and the way he wrote about women was absolutely amazing. He wasn't derogatory towards them.
No.
He said, we as a male have to understand. And the good, he was really good at what he was saying anyway.
Yes.
I picked up my little philosophy book. And there he is, that's who said it, about the women. So it was made up. Really delighted. I love Machiavelli. And when I was in Santa Croce Church, I was hugging his tombstone, you know,
Yeah.
along
Cool.
with Da Vinci, along with Michelangelo. Fantastic. Dante and Dante's Inferno. Fantastic. I'm going to say hello to our friends, Anthony, TW. Evening, Frank, Anthony, and chat. Like and subscribe, please. Good
That's
evening to you.
brilliant, TW. Good evening to you. Thank you.
And good evening, Frank. Reds, history buffs, and blues.
And blues. Yeah.
I tell you what, Live Bears, whether you put that there because I was doing a pod. I don't know whether you were on the pod. I'm not quite so sure. I don't know whether you've seen it or you when I was doing a football pod, and we were called murderers by a blue. We were called murderers. That's the most disgusting thing
It is.
ever.
I don't get that. Because when we spoke about that privately, I was genuinely shocked. I don't get that.
You were shocked.
I
I was doing a live broadcast.
Yeah, no, I truly understand that. It's like the heck, we're supposed to be from the same city.
I was supposed to stick together.
And we do on occasion. It's just more shocking when something like that pops up out the blue. No. No need for it, no understanding of it.
And Phil, evening all, evening Phil.
Evening, Phil.
And the lovely Live Bird says, hello, Phil. Phil gets back, says, all right, waves. And CW feels like an age since last pod, Frank. What? With no Saturday morning picture show and football pods. I hope you had a relaxing weekend. I don't know whether he's taking the Michael there, me having a relaxing weekend.
No, it's a really lovely, warm, friendly thought.
Oh, yeah.
But
No, it's not. I wish I did. I wish I did. And TW, evening, Live Bird and Phil. That's lovely. That I like that, you know. I like the way. And Jason, evening, gents, evening, girls. Oh, yeah, see, so good job. Yeah, good
well,
job. You were quiet there before. Do you know when you were talking to me privately about
yeah,
Jason calling him for everything?
I know.
Say just as well that you know we never said it live on here because he was listening in.
But Chase, I absolutely love the intro.
Don't be sucking up now, Andy.
You know what? I brought an apple. Got an apple for them somewhere. I might have ate it. But it's the thought that counts for me. But the intro was brilliant. Jason's brilliant.
It was good. And the CW, evening, Jason. That's nice.
That is nice.
Nice. And even the Phil says it as well. There's our friend here, look, Johan. Good evening, Frank, Monsieur Antoine, and Legends. New intro tonight. Yeah, look at that. He's got his eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that a thumbs up? No. Eyes open. But we got a few scotches.
Eyes open. That
Thank
means
you,
good.
Mr. Kindness himself.
And Barry says, evening, Frank and Anthony and chat. Wales War One, brilliant. Did Trump win this one as well? Of course he did.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah.
And he didn't realise that Star Wars was a fictional thing, and he won that as well.
Of course.
He won Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. And as he goes right back to ancient Rome, we've been friends since the... What a plank.
He conquered Britain for the Rome when he was a Roman general.
Of course
Came
he
over
did,
with
yeah.
Vespasian, and he said, "Yeah, I conquered Britain." General Trump, one of the
And
great Roman generals.
that's why we borrowed his name for the fart.
Trump. Did you just Trump then? No, it was Donald. And Donna, little Donna. Good evening, Frank, Anthony, and lovely chat family. Isn't that lovely?
Good evening, Donna. Nice to have you with us.
Antico, you're spot on there, Ant. Our city, second most bombed city outside London. Absolutely, we were. And Brussels was the most bombed town in the whole of the country. The whole of the country, Ant. Good evening, everyone, says Veni Vidi Viking. Veni Vidi Viking. Great that. What a name. Good evening, Veni.
Good evening.
Lovely live saying, hello, Johan, Tony, and Veni Vidi Viking. I'll have to. I'll have to start. I'll just go straight down here, and I'll have to start on this because. And tomorrow night, here, people, I'm going to do. Don't mention the thing, Anthony. I'm going to do a very, very controversial murder case tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And you really should listen to this one. Shock. Big up legends and chat says the man with the most exotic name on the planet, Cedric Lopez. Isn't that a great name, Cedric Lopez? You think like a film star. You know, you get all these great stars like Rosanna Brazzi, Sophia Loren, and Cedric Lopez.
Yeah.
In the thriller, you know.
You can see the mustache.
Yeah,
See
yeah. Yeah, well, he could play a Mexican general, couldn't he?
Absolutely.
You know, an evil, a Machiavellian evil general.
Yeah, unbeatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come here. You come.
Yeah.
Sound like Zelensky's own nice. Well done, Live Birds. Yeah. Machiavelli was observatory. Yes, he was. That's all he did. He observed, and he observed, as I mentioned before. She's good, eh? What I mean is, Live, that he observed how women were treated by men and how women responded. I'm not talking about violence or anything, I'm talking about like just in talk and chat and facial expressions and whatever. I'm not talking about that. And he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And he said, like, women are misunderstood. Misunderstood. I love it, honestly. And Cedric says, awaiting my history lesson. Thank you, Cedric. I'll be starting in a moment. The Liver Birds, yes, I saw that one. He came on twice with aliases. You know, he'll come on again because he has nothing better to do. Who's this? Who's she talking about?
I wonder if that's
Oh, I see. Yeah, the fella. Thank
yeah,
you, Liver. Yeah, you know the fella murderers and all this.
came on twice.
Well, I've got Joanne there. I've got my moderators. They see anything like that.
Jay's with us tonight.
And she's with us. That'll be. Oh, there's my mate from Tampa. Hi, everybody. Congrats on surviving another clock change.
No?
That's what I mean, you know. Like my watches go back automatically. But I've got a clock in, you know, my home, and I just look at, well, I've got two clocks in my home, and I just look at them, you know, one there and one there. And I was an hour late for everything. And CW, you know, said, I don't know who it was who said, did you have a great weekend? I hope you had a great, relaxing weekend. No, with that hour, just shakes everybody.
Well, I slept I slept through that extra hour, so I didn't know any difference.
As Jason says, cheers, gents. Remember, I control your show and pictures for the next 2 hours. Oh, shut up, Jason. It's morning already.
Machiavelli, there you go. That's what it is. The power, control.
You're right there. You know, when you were saying that, he's always moaning at me, you know, to me, when we were speaking privately. I think you're right there. He's always moaning. And Donna says, I missed the new intro. It was the best intro in the world because we had King Charles sayings on it. Well, the situation's most terrible, but welcome to the history show with Dr. Frank and Anthony.
That's because you and Charlie are mates, of course, from way back. And then we've got that little snippet you filmed on your phone of Charlie smacking that Trump one around the head.
Oh, yeah. And people don't believe that.
No?
There's Clive Lingham. Big up, all. Thank you, Clive. And big up to you, my friend. Toscana, buonasera, Franco, Anthony, and chatters. I'm just getting used to the time change. I think we're all getting used to it. I always remember somehow, fella, we were out, do you know when the clocks went forwards? I'm going back from when I was 20, 21.
Yeah.
And we were in the pub. We used to go to a club, you know, on a Sunday. I'm talking about Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
We used to go to a club, and this old fella was just standing, you know, at the bar.
Yeah.
And the next was the manager said, "Come on, lads, cheer, come on, think up now, time to go." And this old fella said, "What's the matter? It's only 1 o'clock, because he used to shut at 2, didn't it? You know, on a Sunday afternoon."
Remember well, yeah.
He said, "No." He said, "It's 2 o'clock." And he was arguing with him. Anyway, he got thrown out. He never even finished his bevy.
You know.
He said, "You want to learn to tell the time?" He said, "The time. Look at me watch on it."
Oh.
Got lost out.
Feel fun. Oh.
Our little Lambies with us. Good evening, Frank, Anthony, and all you Reds in the chat. Good evening, Ireland.
Good evening.
Lovely.
Hope you
Lovely.
feel like you.
And Donna says, Frank, you promised to tell us about, well, it won't be tonight. I will, honestly,
You know,
I will
Look-
tell you about the Romans. Roman Britain, I'll tell you about. I'll tell you about how cities and towns got their names and who came over and why they came over, all this, and what they did. I'll do all that. And one of the greatest generals, I mentioned him in passing just before, was one of the leading generals, 20 years of age, who came over during the Claudian invasion, and that was Vespasian, who went on to become a great emperor. You know, the likes of them. The checks in the mail, Frank. I'm ready to star in the next great movie. We're so full of that. I think Rosanna Brazzi's dead, so you can't stand with him. And Venny says, Veni Vidi equals he came, he saw. It's Latin. I know what it is. Veni Vidi. Came, he saw, he conquered, yeah. But Hillary Clinton said, he came, we came, we saw, he's dead. That horrible woman about Muammar Gaddafi.
Yeah.
And laughed about her.
Yeah.
On television.
Yeah. I would rather. I'm reading the end of Fanny's message there, which was, drinking coffee with rum. We came, we drank, we fell asleep. That's the one for me.
Yeah, look at that. Vidi says he came, he saw. It's Latin, Frank. Go away. Having a fresh coffee with rum from Guyana. I will lean back, listen, and enjoy. Thank you, Venny. Viking.
That is the way to go.
Now, Islock came over and was destroying us. They were destroying what the Romans built, the Vikings.
Yeah.
And that's when it was plunged into the Dark Ages after the Romans left. That was the period of the Dark Ages, they called it. But they were trying to take away, historically, the Dark Ages. You know, the terminology, Dark Ages.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Just like Trump saying about it's not the Gulf of Mexico now, it's the Gulf of America. And it's not the Persian Gulf, it's the Arabian Gulf. What a prat.
Yeah, there we go, back to that line. Fart. The fart has spoken.
And Paulie's here with us. Hello, everyone. Frank and Anthony, looking forward to this. I'm just getting a quick shower, then I can relax listening.
Okay, we'll hang fire. We'll have a couple of rums, like Venny.
And Steve, my old mate Steve, lovely man. Hi, Frank and Anthony. Yeah, this Scotch for you. No, nothing for me. Scotch for you.
I'll share one with you.
Blimey. Marvellous, isn't it?
Good evening, Steve.
Hit the likes and subscribe, guys, says Linda Ellis.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
And Ted says, I can't believe I didn't even know the clocks went forwards, and neither does anyone in our house.
There you go. I rest my case here on it.
See, I don't, in the house, I don't wear me watch, you know what for? and they just automatically go forward. Like,
Yeah.
and no
Did
one
you?
rang me. No one rang me on the Sunday.
You know where I was?
Where no, I'm
Mixing.
just saying, no one rang me. So
Oh no.
if you know what I mean, because that just automatically goes to the time. And as I said, I just kept looking at the clocks that I have, and I didn't put them back. I don't know. You just forget, don't you? See all of the bloody thing it's caused. And the Liver Bird says to the Venny, to the Viking, um, rum and coffee at this time of day is mandatory. It cancels out the effects of caffeine. Very good. See, that's a brilliant, aren't they?
That's brilliant. I'll have to give it a go in the break and then get a taxi back.
No, that's for the park bench when we're on there.
Uh,
When Jason sacks us.
we're getting a bigger shopping list now, aren't we? Bag of chips, bottle of,
Bottle of rum. A bottle of grouse as well. You can't leave the grouse on its own, can you?
you can't, no, you can't.
So we get coffee. We'll have we'll have to get our coffee out of somewhere.
Yeah,
Uh, that's the rum in there and the what.
yeah. And a
The grouse filling.
slice of pizza.
Oh, pizza, mamma mia. Hi, Frank and Anthony says polo. Hiya, polo.
Hiya, Polo.
And Benny says, we didn't destroy anything. We came on business travels. The Vikings. You wanted all the bricks that the Romans did, all the stone that you had, that the Romans built, these temples and beautiful things. They stole all them. I tell you what, let's get this back to Norway. The Vikings. Frank, Frank, the Praetorian Guards are interesting there. The status and rules oh yeah, they were the what you call, they were more or less bodyguards, to the emperor. They were the elite, and they
Yes,
wore all black.
SAS of the time.
Oh yeah, the what? The SS?
SAS.
Oh, I thought you said that. No. The ancient Norse were a bit more than just Vikings. Can't say anything anymore, can we? I'm going to start now. Itchy. 4:30 kick out Sundays at my local. We go away with things. Up to me, man. Nan's for 3 o'clock for the roast dinner. And yes, my mum, born in Liverpool, and I love her. Rest in peace. Yeah, rest in peace, your mum, mate. And Barry says, Frank, now, you're straying Vikings for another. It's not my fault. It's the Clive says, talk about the Vikings. I live in Colchester. Go away. That's where the Romans were, around Colchester. That's how you've got your name. Every town, city, or whatever that ends in Chester, the Vikings were there. Not the Vikings, don't say the Romans. The
Yeah.
Romans were there. I'm going to start. How about that? Steam along. Unfortunately, the Klops went back on Saturday. Very clever, that, isn't it?
Brilliant.
That's brilliant. I'll just see on I'm gonna start right. What I'm going to do, ladies and gents, is I'm going to talk about some of the greatest things, greatest characters besides a bloody war, and I mean a bloody war, and what the impact it was on Liverpool and the citizens of Liverpool, and some of the greatest feats ever allowed. And I was someone told me about the Iris, the Royal Iris, that
Yeah.
it's being decommissioned. It had another, its last trip the other day, and you wonder how did it get its royal and the daffodil? How did they get the prefix of royal? And that was in the First World War when Edward VII, because what had happened, because they had a flat bottom hull, they could cross a boom, and they brought the commandos in, and they were blowing up submarines and whatever. And then they got back out, and the poor Iris and the daffodil were badly, you know,
Mm.
shelled, but they got the commandos back to Liverpool. They got them back. Well, they got them back to England, I'll just say. And that's when Edward VII said, I've got to give them their prefix, Royal. They're the only two ferries to be named Royal. After Britannia, the Royal Britannia.
That's fantastic.
So, it's great history, to be honest. So, why did First World War start in the first place? Well, you had the 1871 Franco-Prussian War, and that was a terrible war. It really was. Prussia and France, having a go. Anyway, when that was over, the Germans never got over that. Never. Albeit that it was the Prussians who were fighting them. So what Bismarck did in 1884, he said to Saxonia and Prussia, listen, how about joining Germany, if you don't mind? Because they were German speaking anyway.
Yeah.
They said, you're okay. So Bismarck made a massive, mighty Germany. And historians say as well that the First World War was a royal squabble, a
Yeah.
big royal squabble between themselves, the families, the royal families.
Yeah.
And they're not far wrong about that. Simply because when you have kings and queens and whatever ruling countries, it goes back to one of the greatest of all poems by William Blake. As the hapless soldier sighs as blood runs down palace walls. So it was those people, like the warmongers today, but back in the day, it was kings. It was kings.
Yeah.
So you had the Tsars of Russia, you had Wilhelm of Germany, and you had our royal household here, the Edwardian period, where it started to escalate because, as I said, there's always a seed, and it goes from the Franco-Prussian War. I don't want to get into all that. And then in 1892, 1891, 92, you had this Schlieffen fella who drew up a plan. You're talking 1891 or two. And he drew up a plan to entice the British over into France. And the Germans would take on both France and the British, defeat them in France, and march eastward to Russia and take on Russia. That was their plan. That was the Schlieffen plan. So it was already planned out between 1891 and 92. And then it just starts again. So by the time 1914 came up, you had the Austrian Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, as it was called. And you had we're talking what Sarajevo, when you had students who disagreed with anything about the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Yeah. And you had their big royal who went into Sarajevo, but you had a student called Princip. His name was Princip. And Franz Joseph, with his wife, Julia, were coming down a road in a carriage, waving to people. And this Princip lad, this student, just ran up and went pop and assassinated Franz Joseph. Crown Prince Franz Joseph assassinated him in Serbia. So you had the Allies now all contending what to do, all saying, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. And the Russians were Serbians' allies, but they're all blaming Serbia for the death of Franz Joseph. Don't forget, he's a royal, see, Franz Joseph. They all stuck together. They all stuck together. Hence, the First World War begins. And it began with a heat wave. There was a heat wave going on at the time in the August, and lovely heat wave during the August. So there was recruits. But I have to go back to 1911 for what I'm about to say. And I go back to a general strike here in Liverpool. Or you can go back to 1910 with a general strike when miners, well, it wasn't a general strike, it was the miners who went on strike in Tonopandi, Wales. And you had the First Sea Lord sitting at these meetings and wondering, why, and asking, why are these people got on strike? Why are these miners? We need coal. Because we needed more, believe it or not, we needed more coal then than we do now today. Do you know that?
Because of the industries.
The industries, that's all it was, coal-filled. So anyway, they says, listen, we've got to organise something and see what their demands are. And one of the ministers said, well, this is at the meeting in Downing Street. And one of the ministers said, well, these people are hungry. And do you know what Churchill said? Oh, if they're hungry, let's fill their bellies with lead. That's what he said. That's what he taught Churchill. The following year, there was a general strike here in Liverpool because the strikers, they went on strike for the fabric of life. They wanted parity with everybody else. The fabric, think about the fabric of life, because they were getting paid a pittance. Everything was privatized. And the bosses wouldn't give them anything. Anything. I always remember reading about Charles Dickens, and he didn't like unions, because here's what he said. He said, people are working for a measly wage, He said, and yet you have these people, these union people going around giving them some sort of talking and taking money off them, whereas they can't afford to give anything because they're on a measly wage.
Yeah.
Charles Dickens didn't like the unions because at that time they were taking money off these poor people who were working for more or less nothing. They could barely survive the week.
Yeah.
And that's why he didn't like them. So you leap forward to the general strike here, and you had the First Sea Lords, Winston Churchill, and his idea was to send up, because you had the police, our police here, they were told to riot with them. And they said, we can't do that. These are our own people. If you could imagine when all this is over, what they'll think of us. So they wouldn't riot. They wouldn't riot. So the government, along with Churchill's suggestions, got police from Birmingham and Leeds, 6,000 of them, to send up to Liverpool. And they also sent 50,000 armed troops in armoured vehicles up to the streets of Liverpool. And Churchill, being the First Sea Lord, he sent up 2 frigates of battleships with big guns to train on Liverpool. Think about that.
Horrific. People just trying to survive, trying to live.
Trying to live for the fabric of life. And this is what's happening. This is the country that we live in. This is the country that we're born in. To do that to workers, you just said, give us a decent wage. They couldn't have it. The way we are today, we're so lucky that at least, well, the majority of us can have meals for 7 days a week. There are some who can't, because there's still 5.5 million children below the poverty line.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about those poor kiddies. I'm talking about ordinary families like me, like the fella next door and the person who lives above me and the person who lives below me. They can afford meals 7 days a week. but there are others who can't. But getting back to 1911, it was shocking. Workers couldn't. I tell you, there was so much underemployment that there was one man doing the work of 6. This is why, they wouldn't pay a decent wage to the one man working, because they weren't paying like 5 others a wage. And it was shocking what they were doing to the workers of Liverpool. Not just Liverpool, but all around the country. And that's why there was 50,000 armed troops, 2 frigates, 6,000 police from Birmingham and Leeds sent up. Now, why do you think that, Anthony? Why do you think they did this?
I think the great threat to them was the morale of society. They didn't want any anarchy, so they wanted to quell anyone who had an opinion, who could amass an army. You and I stand in the middle of Church Street in town and say, don't go in that shop, don't go in that shop, because they don't look after their stuff. We're anarchists.
Yep, that's it. It's only today, isn't it? There's anarchy today with people saying, what about Gaza? And they're getting locked up.
Absolutely.
You can't go against the narrative, you see.
No.
But also what was pending, which was most importantly for the government, with the anarchy, they didn't want the anarchy to spread out to the country, because what was pending was a world war. A war in Europe. They didn't think there were, but a war in Europe, with the squabbles these royal families were having between themselves. And they held the cards of either stay away from war or go to war. They held all the cards.
Vanity.
Yes.
Vanity and nothing else.
So that's why they sent these armed troops up, and frigates, and police from Birmingham and Leeds into Liverpool to quell anything. Anything. And it succeeded. Does anyone get anything? Did the strikers get it? No. They got very, very little, if anything at all. And again, I go back to Charles Dickens. And the war started. What he said, about unions. He's done nothing. He's done nothing. He said, it's all right coming up and talking to people and waving their fist. But they were doing nothing. Keep at it. Keep at it. And as I said about William Blake,
absolute.
As the hapless soldier sighs as blood runs down palace walls, and the blackening church appalls.
Yeah.
So you have all that combined. So the First World War started. With the strikers and with what happened to Liverpool. Just a few years previous, with troops and police and frigates, and 2 lads being shot, by the way, dead by troops. 2 lads, 2 strikers. And what has happened, Anthony? The Liverpool lads queued up 4 aside, 4 of them in line, 2 miles long, to enlist to fight this war. So they were very loyal and patriotic for the country to go into war. And he went into war. And some of the greatest of all people, unfortunately, how can I say this? I'll just bear with me on this. I just want to get something. I've got the bloody camera. Hang on a minute. I just want to. Can I give this fellow a mention? He deserves a mention, this chap, because I'll be talking about some of the things.
Absolutely, Frank.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is a chap by the name of John Kirk. And John Kirk joined the Lincolnshire Regiment. John Kirk was born in Brownlow Hill Workhouse. Brownlow Hill Workhouse. To a mother who died giving him birth, and he didn't know who the mother was. So they gave him the name. They thought he was going to die because the mother had just died right away giving birth. So they rushed him over to the chapel within the confines of the workhouse. And they named him John after the Baptist, John the Baptist. And they gave him the surname Kirk, which is an old Anglo-Saxon word meaning church. So his name was John Kirk. John Kirk escaped the atrocities of the workhouse as a young lad, young kid, made his way to Lincolnshire somehow, and he joined the Lincolnshire Regiment as a little drummer boy. Then he became a rifleman, and he was sent over to India. And he, with a few others, volunteered to rescue the captain of the regiment and his wife and children and servants from 2,000 Punjabis. They rescued them. John Kirk was awarded the Victoria Cross, which is proudly displayed there on his chest. He was the first recipient of the Victoria Cross. That's why I had to mention it. The first recipient. And also what you have is that John Kirk suffered, and it wasn't until latter day when they read, medical reports about him, he suffered from a debilitating disease called narcolepsis, where you slur your speech and you stagger. And a major, when he was back in England, they were on parade and he seen him stagger and went over to him, and when he started to speak to John Kirk, he was slurring his speech. And he thought he was drunk on parade, which was an horrendous offence in the army. And he was court-martialed. And they couldn't give him the death penalty. So they gave him 50 lashes because he was about to receive a Victoria Cross. John Kirk his medal was taken away. He was dishonourably discharged. And he made his way back because throughout his army life, he always wondered and promised that he'd get back to Liverpool to find out who his mother was and if he could find if he had a family. And he made his way back to Liverpool, but he was a very ill man, and especially with the lashes on his back. Nevertheless, he got here. He gets to Liverpool. Whereas he gets back into the workhouse where he was born. And it's where he died. So he was born. In the meantime, he won a Victoria Cross, and he died in the same place, Brownlow Hill Workhouse. And it's a very sad story.
Yeah.
I've written a play about it. And it's called A Reflection of Dickens, because of his birth. Why do you think? Who do you think his birth is a reminder of, Anthony?
Oh, you can see the scene, the poor mother in the pouring rain, banging on the door. The beginning of Oliver Twist.
Absolutely. Oliver Twist. Because as we know, we're doing the history of literature, Dickens loved Liverpool. And that's where he heard the story from.
Just your hat off to that gentleman.
Yeah. I've got a Victoria Cross and I can't find it. I have shown it before, my Victoria Cross. Can't find it. I've always had it on my desk here, where my monitors are. But can't find it now. Victoria Cross. You couldn't make it up, could you?
No.
Yeah, I've got it. I've just seen it now. Here we had it. And people don't know that I've got a Victoria Cross. They just think that, I'm one of these people. I'll just take him down a minute. Where am I? Oh, there I am. And people don't realise that I've got a Victoria Cross. And there it is.
Just amazing. Wow. Wow.
Do you know how I won that? People don't realise, honestly, they don't. And how I won that one was I went to Goodison Park once to watch Liverpool play. And I was awarded the Victoria Cross. And on that note, we'll resume the First World War and more Victoria Cross holders, and I'll read out as well some of our people, what they've been saying after the break. Guildford Street, the Battle of the Atlantic was about to take place, and through these doors were the operations. And right in here was the nerve centre of operations. So follow me down into the bowels of the building. We have just come down 30 foot from street level and nothing has changed. We have just gone right back to 1940 and I hope you've got your pass. World War II lasted a total of 2,075 days. The Battle of the Atlantic lasted for 2,073 of those days. It began on the first evening of World War II when the liner Athenia was sunk off the northwest coast of Ireland. Could you imagine the coordination the Commander-in-Chief had to deal with at the western approaches? Just have a look at these. This was the hub of operations for the Battle of the Atlantic. A young wren, Patricia Lane, fell to her death from the ladder during operations, and her spirit is rumoured to still haunt the corridors. When Churchill came here, he used this total soundproof telephone booth when he was in deep conversation with President Roosevelt in Washington. He was also in constant contact with his war cabinet from here. This was no ordinary 9-to-5 job. Once you were here for the duration. And as you can see, they had the beds as well. About 330 convoys were attacked in the Atlantic by U-boats. 565 escorted ships and 234 stragglers were sunk. 1,100 ships proceeding independently were also sunk. 96,977 ships survived the crossing. This was the office of the Commander-in-Chief, Admiral Horton, and he dealt with all the top secret documentation here. His private room was specifically designed so he could keep his eye constantly on operations. Through the labyrinth of very small, dark corridors, all the codes were broken right down here. And through this door here, where it says strictly no admittance, was the Enigma machine. Even Churchill had to show his pass to get through here. Top secret codes of messages were transmitted from this room. It was such a sensitive area that the operator was locked in the room and an armed guard posted outside. The reality of the war on the surface was this. This is someone's house, devastated by the bombings of the Luftwaffe. But let's not forget that there was a war going on underground, a secret war. It's surprising, you know, because when I was filming that, Tony Snell and myself heard footsteps, and we thought it was the lady, you know, who let us in to the war rooms. We thought it was her, you know, coming down. And anyway, when we went back up after filming, we was talking to the lady, Margaret, her name was. And I said, was you looking for us? I said, was you looking for us? She said, no. She said, did you hear footsteps? I said, both of us said, yeah, why? We thought it was you looking for us, someone's down there. And she said, oh, there is someone down there. And you'd always hear them footsteps. Who is it then? Is it a cleaner or something? She said, no. It's a ghostly footsteps, because a girl fell off the tall ladder. You know, she was putting this, you know, massive map, and she fell off the ladder. She was a wren, and unfortunately she broke her neck and died. And that's whose footsteps you hear down there. So anyway, let's see what our lovely people have been saying before we carry on. I don't know where we are. Oh, the lovely Bella's with us. Ciao, Franco and Antonio. Good evening, all you wonderful chatters. Isn't that lovely?
Well, that's beautiful. Lovely to have you with us.
And the Liverbird says, yeah, ships also ran on coal at the time. Of course they did, yeah. Coal was massive.
Yeah.
Massive. There's a cracker there, what Phil says, working to live in poverty. That's what it was like. People were working to live in poverty.
And we've got the same today.
Yes. Yes. And Ted's. No wonder Churchill suffers with depression. The black dog, as he called it. I wonder if his conscience was eating away at him with all he caused. That's a cracker, Ted's.
Yeah.
That
Tonight,
is a
yeah.
cracker. But, you know, people think that Churchill was one of the greatest of all Britons. I'll tell you what I'll do with you people, not now. If you stay with me, I don't mean stay with me now, but you know, you come on the pods. And next week, have a week to think. Who is your greatest Briton? And I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you mine. I hate wearing my reading glasses, you know, to kill me. Oh, it's better. So let me know next Monday. Let me know who your greatest Briton is. But don't tell me now, please, because I'll start going into things. Please don't.
That's a great Great thoughts, Frank. Yeah. Monday.
Yeah. Next Monday, just let me know. Just have a good think about who your greatest Britain is. And the Liverbird says to Phil, People's History Museum is a marvellous place. And Paulie Churchill, sounds of me. Spiffing. Yeah, I knew what you meant there. And there, Phil says lots of bad deeds done. And alive a bit. I think the result of Churchill's actions was that working people became united where where they are being separated by religion and race, the divide and rule. Excellent comment. Some great comments tonight, isn't there, Anthony?
There is. Bang on. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Ted's a bit like what they're doing now, divide, and of course it's divide, and it always has been, unfortunately. And that's Ted said that only we should be smarter now. We should be Liverbird, but I think people are becoming smarter. Not only smarter, but I think I hate using the word woken up. Lots of people have woken up. Or shaking the jar. Black and red ants. Ah, cracker, Phil. Lumin- Lumiere Ambient. How about that? What a name that is. Fascinating story. Is there a landmark anywhere in Liverpool dedicated to him? I'll show you something later on, if you don't mind, because I've got to get on to the. I think he means the wonderful John Kirk.
John Kirk. Yeah, absolutely.
I was on Channel 5, I think it was last year or the year, I don't know when it was. You know, that there was a programme and it was going around cities, for stories. And they got hold of me because I'm a specialist on Charles Dickens, as you know, Anthony. So are you.
Yeah. This is the Scottish lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tiny little thing she was. I've never watched it. And when she came up, she came, and I was just talking to like the director and the film crew and whatever. And this little girl, little woman, not a girl, and came up and she went, hello. And I went, hello, who are you? Who are you? She said, I presented. I said, I'm sorry, I don't watch TV. I presented. But we got on all right. We got on all right.
It came across really great. I loved that program.
So I mentioned about Dickens and John Kirk. And he went, we won't do that now. We'll do that. We'll do it. We'll do that. It's just a program about. I said, okay. Still waiting for the call. We'll get back to that, Lumiere. We should be smarter, but some brainless people are easily swayed by the press and the so-called politicians. Well, they've got you to say, you've got to follow the narrative. If you don't, you're in trouble. And Clive says, wow, a VC. Yes, my VC. The live about Frank, I wrote my dissertation in sixth year at school on Dickens' social commentary. Where
Brilliant.
is I got it here? Is that a fact? Every time I go to get something, what people mention, unfortunately, I can't put my hand on it. But I've got everything on Dickens, and I've got a book on him about his travels, live. Always had it. And I think you've got a copy of his
You,
travels, haven't you?
you passed it over to Laney. Yeah, yeah, we've got it. Absolutely wonderful book.
So well done, Live Bird. Oh, and even in Frank Anthony, hope you're all doing well. It's a pity you miss Prince Charles, well, King Charles now. You give the introduction got a new introduction, Owen, and it was brilliant. The King saying, "Oh yes, Frank's a wonderful man." And the other one says, Frank, wasn't Wales War One the reason the Ottomans had to withdraw from Palestine, leading to yes, the Balfour Declaration, eventually mandatory Palestine, and now Zoni hell, yes, Zioni hell, yes. You're spot on there, Johan. Have a guess where Balfour came, when he gave when he gave this piece of land to be called Israel in Palestine. Where
Yeah,
did Balfour come from, Anthony?
England, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
which part of this
yeah,
noble realm?
yeah.
Well,
Have a guess. One guess. And they've got a nickname, this city. Like the way they say Cockneys down in London.
yeah,
And this city has a nickname for its citizens.
I know I'm gonna kick myself or punch myself in the head.
Yes, you will.
Well,
And I'm going to. Well,
it's not here, is it, Frank?
yes. He's a
Oh,
scouser. A scouser. Balfour. You just couldn't make it up, could you?
no.
I'm fascinated with the Western appliances. I haven't Western approaches, not appliances. The Western approaches were Little Johnny. I haven't been there yet, but I'm going to try to, So yeah, go.
Go.
Or just
Here.
buy the TV. Oh well, I don't know. You can't buy it anymore, but just let someone give you. I think it's Liverpool Unseen. I'm not quite so sure what DVD it is. I did. Just get one of them and Rushy. And Rushes. And Rushes. Well, Churchill is definitely not the greatest. To fill their bellies with lead, he said. I can't say that.
Yeah, but quite eloquently put. Yeah, that's
But you're
kind of
right. You're right what you called him anyway. And you told us already, Liverpool, they asked you, Johan.
Jacob.
Johan's got a photographic memory. He remembers everything. He remembers what you call Jason, Anthony. Know what I mean? And he won't say nothing. That's what kind of a fella he is. He's a very loyal person to us.
You're going to choke on your tea in a minute. Some would say you deserve it.
That's a shame. And Phil keeps laughing. I don't know who he's laughing at, you know. And no one says Winston Churchill was an art forger, allegedly. That in brackets, allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a fellow sitting opposite me right there who's a great artist, and he's no forger. But people have tried to copy your work, haven't they, Anthony?
Oh yeah. Yeah. As yours, Frank. I think it's just that's it's out there. If you do something and someone regards it as good, then someone else will steal it.
Yes.
And that's just life. That's the way it's always been. It took me many, many years to get my head around that because it cannot be not personal because of course it is. And I know you've been there with your wonderful work and the basis of a what would have been a sensational book.
And one of the lads there said, I think it was Andy, you know, is the thing about him. And there it is, actually. And it's his gravestone. It says, Private John Kirk, VC. And that's in Anfield Cemetery. I can't read, though. The epitaph there. What's on it? I hate wearing these bloody glasses.
Born 1827, died 1865.
Awarded the Victoria Cross for gallantry during the Indian Mutiny in 1850, June 1857. This headstone was erected in 1988 by the regimental trustees of the citizens of Liverpool. Also buried in this grave are Robert Brooks, William Jones, Henry Panchian, and Anne Kemp, and Sarah Stevens. That's the only thing dedicated to that great man. And when you look at that, this is the First World War people. These are actual pictures. These are the trenches. There was a fellow, I want you to look at that. I want you to look at that. And what you have there is this. You have let me just go back a minute because it's very important. Look at the way the trenches are
Yeah.
zigzagging. And you had a fellow by the name of Edward Pinnington. And Edward Pinnington was in the Liverpool Scottish. But he was a pacifist. And he volunteered as a stretcher bearer. He was a school teacher. Forget what school it was. I really do, and I'm sorry about that. But it was up in Highton, where he was a schoolmaster. And anyway, he joined as a stretcher bearer. And he's seen the struggles, even of himself, as they were rushing through the trenches with stretchers. And he was having a words with the greatest of all, Noel Shabazz, the surgeon. And he says, about the struggle of getting through the trenches with the big stretcher and what he did, which was fantastic. Edward Pennington, he modified the stretcher, whereas the way you were running along here, which was okay, like a straight trench, but by the time you got to the likes of this, it was very, very hard to manoeuvre the stretcher.
Sharp turn.
Yeah, very, very hard. And they had to get those wounded lads back right into, the station where they were operated on and looked after by nurses and surgeons and doctors. So what had happened was he modified it. So by the time you came to a bend like there, like that, like them there, the person in front and pulled it back. These handles, the handlers of the stretcher, and the ones at the back pushed forward, and the stretcher became small so that you could manoeuvre it. Then they just pulled it back so they could run straight, because it was very difficult anyway. When the stretcher became smaller, but it got around very quickly, the corners and the zigzags, and that's what he invented.
Wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
That is fantastic, Frank.
Edward Pennington, one of the greats. And when you look at some of the greatest, when you look at some of the greatest of all lads, and I'm talking about soldiers, I can't see. I really can't see, That's just, I can't even see this particular person. John Davis.
Yes.
John Davis. What a story this fella has. He came from Birkenhead. He came from Birkenhead, the lad. And he was wading through with his, him and, the men, the soldiers, across a canal. And it was chest deep. And they were trying to get over to the other side, but they were being pinned down with a machine gun. They were being pinned down with a machine gun. And fellas were getting killed. And he said, "I sod it. I'm going through." And he waited and he was shouting back, "Get back, you're going to get yourself killed." Anyway, he gets there. He jumps up the parapet, dives into this machine gun post. And all of a sudden, shells were hitting it, and all this plumes of smoke and whatever. And there was no more sign. There was no more signs of machine gun fire either. So he was mentioned in dispatches, and he was awarded the Victoria Cross posthumously. But he did save the lads, albeit like lads were being killed by this machine gun post.
Yeah.
At least, he saved other lives. And he was awarded the Victoria Cross posthumously. And they gave it to his parents. His mother was, he's only a young lad. And she was absolutely broken-hearted. And the dad, obviously, lost his son in the war, but very bravely, because they received a telegram to say that he'd been lost. And then the knock on the door about, the Victoria Cross. And they presented the parents with the Victoria Cross. And after the war, there was a knock on the door. And when the mother opened the door, guess what? Guess what, Anthony?
I think I know.
But tell me then, the people are waiting.
I think he came home.
Yes, because he was taken prisoner. He wasn't dead. Nearly killed his mum, actually.
Would it? Oh my God.
Anyway, he's the only man to win the Victoria Cross posthumously. Yet, he lived to receive it.
Wow.
I think that's a wonderful story.
I think that's a brilliant story.
Marvellous, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
I have to move my chair, I can't really see. Sorry about this, folks. Sorry about this. So you see the way people are, Anthony. And this fellow is the only soldier to win 2 Victoria Crosses in the same war. There are like a couple of others who's won 2 Victoria Crosses, but in different wars. This is the only man to win it in the same war. And his name is Noel Shabazz. And a remarkable man. And as you see, his hat there, he joined the Liverpool Scottish. Because his dad, at the time, was the bishop of the Anglican Cathedral. He had a big family. There were 7 of them. He had twin sisters. He also had a twin brother, Christopher. And there were 2 other brothers, Bernard and the young fella, I forgot his name's just escaped me. I was going to mention it, just escaped. It'll come back to me. And he was the youngest lad. And both of them, Christopher won a military cross, his twin. His other brother, Bernard, won a military, Aidan, the youngest. So Bernard's won a military cross also. And Aidan Shabazz, his name is on Menin Gate. And I used to bring my students over there, to visit the graves, World War I graves. And I used to go to Menin Gate and I used to point out about Shabazz, because they knew about Shabazz. through the class and that. Anyway, we used to point out the Men in Gate is absolutely amazing, you know. It's amazing. I'll tell you for why it's amazing. You have all these names, but you also have regiments. And you have regiments of the Indian Army, because they never get mentioned, these lads who were killed from the Indian subcontinent. But you have them on it as well. The Punjabi regiment, the Sepoys, incredible. Incredible. And it's always as the last post. The last post, Anthony, played every single night, 24/7, 365 days a year, 366 days, 66 days a year on a leap year. It's always played. And why it's played is because one of our great writers, Rudyard Kipling, his estate pays for it. Because when he was alive, he wanted it played. He said, I'll pay for it to be played every night, the last post. And it's all because of his son, Harry. Because his son was saying, Dad, get me into the army. Please get me into the army. Because the army were rejecting him because of myopic disease. He had bad eyesight. He said, please, Dad, I've got to go along and do it my little bit. So his dad, who was very influential, by the way, he got him into it. And when he went into the army, his dad, Rudyard, had to sign a paper. Had to sign a paper to give permission just in case if anything happened to him. And so did other dads throughout the land whose kids were going in, joining the army at the ages of 14 and 15. And they had to sign the paper to say, well, you know, if something happens, it's your fault. We can't take the blame. Because those dads were saying, oh, no, he's 16, you know, these 14 and 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
And Rudyard Kipling wrote one of the most poignant and devastating poems ever.
Yeah.
Ever. A two-liner. That's all it was, a two-liner. Because his son, because of his bad eyesight, and because he signed a paper to say, you know, well, it's not the army's fault if something happens to him. When the whistle went to get back to the trenches, because they went over the top at his regiment, and the whistle went to get back to the trenches. And because of all the confusion and everything flying about and noise, continuous noise and whatever, plumes of smoke and plumes of earth, you know, everywhere, going up in the air, Harry got up and he ran towards us, his lines. Unfortunately, because of his eyesight, it wasn't his lines, it was the German lines, and he was shot dead. He was killed. And Rudyard Kipling wrote this poem. If any question why we died, tell them because our fathers lied. They're all the dads who signed a piece of paper. If any question why we died, tell them because our fathers lied.
Such a powerful, powerful, powerful few words.
So if you could imagine what Rudyard Kipling was going through because he lost his son, could you imagine the other dads who signed that piece of paper?
Yeah.
I made a video, there's videos there, and I was at the graves. And you see me kneeling down at 2 headstones in Flanders Fields. And on the headstones was 2 young lads, one aged 14 and the other aged 15. So that applies to their fathers. If any questions why we died, tell them because our fathers lied. They lied for us to get into the army to be killed. Brilliant poem. And when you think of another great poem, and it was taken from a Roman writer, the headline, the title, I'm sorry. And that title was Dulce et decorum est. And when you think about Dulce et decorum est, it's about, can I just say it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But the original line that it came from is from a Roman poem, wasn't it? Or
By Ovid. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, how glorious it is to die in patriotic. Dulce et decorum est.
Yeah.
And it starts off, and when you think about it and what it was like and who it was written by, it's not like if any question why we died, you know, or anything like that. It's powerful on the same lines. On the same lines. Bent double like old beggars under sacks. Knock-kneed coughing like hags we cursed through sludge. And to our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched to sleep. Many had lost their boots, bloodshot, or went lame, or blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of gas shells dropping softly behind. Quick, quick, boys, an ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone was yelling and floundering like a man on fire or lime, as under the thick green sea he plunges at me, choking, gutted, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch his white eyes riding in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth corrupted lungs, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for dumb, desperate glory, the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. Now, I left out a line, just one line deliberately, because where it says about the devil sick of sin, the fella guttering, choking, drowning, is because it was a gas attack. A gas attack, Anthony. And that's what it was like. And he experienced it. Fitting the clumsy helmets just in time, but someone was yelling and floundering like a man in fire or lime because he couldn't get the mask on quickly enough. He couldn't get it on. And look at the line. If you two could pace behind the wagon that we flung them on. They flung them on it. There was no dignity by putting them on gently. They flung them on. And watch his white eyes riding in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. The devil never gets sick of sin. This is why he put it in. Like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud, of vile incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friends, you would not tell what such I zest, because he was writing to, this poem was dedicated to a fella by the name of Jesse. Jesse, someone forget his name, but his name was Jesse. Who used to write, like for comics and things, about the heroics and everything. He said it's not like that. It's not heroics. Just like the title by Ovid, the great Roman writer. Painful. It's a painful and inglorious way to die.
It's truth.
Truth. Yep. Oh. And that man there, he won his medal at, I always get this name wrong. It's a French name, unfortunately. Anyway, what he used to do, he used to have to go out into no man's land, helping the lads with the stretchers to bring them back. So we could operate on them. And then he was mentioned in dispatches, and he won his first Victoria Cross. Oh, what's the name of that place? And the second one was won when he went in again to no man's land, brought us the soldiers back. The first time, I'm sorry, he brought his lads back, and as he was treating them, a shell came at the where he was operating them, and he was wounded with shrapnel. And he went to the clearing station where he worked as a surgeon. So the clearing station, they operated on him. And he said, I've got to get back to my man. No, you can't go back. You can't move. You're being seriously wounded. I want to get back. I want to get back, he said. And he went back. And then he wonders, oh, shit, what's the bloody name? I keep forgetting the bloody name of this French place. Oh, begins with a C anyway. And while he was there, wounded. He was actually killed, bringing his member. And he was mentioned in dispatches again. And he was awarded his second Victoria Cross. But the lad, Shavas, was mentioned on no less than 15 occasions in dispatches. He could have won 15 Victoria Crosses. And his mate, they used to play tricks on each other and, just to amuse each other because of the war going on, and had a laugh to take away what was going on at the time. And they used to have a laugh, mess around. And this fellow was in the Liverpool Scottish too. And this fellow, his mate, who used to joke around, to try and get away from the monotony of war by having a laugh sometimes, was also in the Liverpool Scottish. And this fella survived the war. He was mentioned in dispatches. He should have got a Victoria Cross as well. But he was given the Military Cross, which is just a medal lower than the VC. And that man went on to become one of the greatest iconic silver screen actors of all time, playing a very famous fictional character. Who do you think that was, Anthony?
That was the brilliant Basil Rathbone.
Certainly was.
For playing Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
He's going to kick up a fuss when he finds out you're sitting in his gaff.
What do you think of that, though?
Those two names are sewn into the DNA of Liverpool, aren't they? Rathbone and Shavas.
Yeah. Just love it. And when you get Shavas, you get them all, don't you? And there's a statue. I had a campaign. I led a campaign. I said, I was with Tony Snell, and I said, I don't think anybody's ever heard of a fellow in the First World War by the name of Noel Shavas, a double VC winner. And I mentioned about his family. His twin sisters was at the front as well as nurses. He had another sister who was, she was married and she had 3 children. And they wouldn't allow her to go to the front as she only had these 3 kiddies, married to a vicar. But what she used to do, she used to get food parcels, she used to knit scarves and gloves and send them on. So she did her thing. As I mentioned about his twin, he survived the war, Christopher. Bernard survived the war. They were all in it. And also young Aidan, who didn't survive the war. So they all did the bit, the Shavas family. And I said, Noel Shavas should have a statue. We should have a statue. And there it is there. There's the statue. So I edited the campaign. People started to come and go, oh yeah, that's great that. So anyway, rather sad actually, because when I edited it, I was with my one then, and she used to drive me down to this pub, and we used to have the meeting upstairs, about the campaign, how it was going and whatever. So anyway, I was up there, and she used to like come up with me. She didn't want to be sitting in a pub on her own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
She hardly drank. So she used to sit right at the back. She couldn't hear what was going on, by the way. And then one of them came up to me after the end of the meeting and said, listen, we don't like to have your partner sitting in here. I said, she drives me down. He said, well, can't she just sit in the pub? I said, no. I said, who are you to tell me that? Who are you for there to come down? We drive miles to get here. And you're telling me for it. I said, she can't hear anything anyway. I said, what's the problem with it anyway? If she could hear everything, what is the problem? He said, well, it's private. And I just said, I got Tom Murphy to do the sculptor. I went and seen Tom. I said, listen, and he went down to the meeting. I was there. And when he said, okay, commission, yep, okay, he did it. So I got him the commission.
Yeah.
And I walked away from it then because of that fella saying that about my partner couldn't be there. He wanted her to sit in the pub on her own and not be at the meeting. Because we had meetings every week. So I said, well, F you, that's it. And I never went back. And guess what? When they unveiled it, this is up by Liverpool University, Abercrombie Square, as you know, I wasn't even invited to the unveiling.
That's the saddest thing. That
wasn't invited, and I started it. No one has ever heard of him.
I can totally see that, and it's insane. It's narrow-minded, bigoted.
Horrible.
What you want?
Horrible. It's like the gates. The gates down by John Lewis.
The original Sailor's Home gates.
Yeah, I got them back. And all these people, all of a sudden, they were all talking to the echo and everything. Oh, yeah, they had nothing at all to do with it. And then he was having this. I said, who are you? Oh, well, I said, did you know about the gates? No, but, it's a great thing. I said, is it? And I just turned around to this Phil lad. Me and him started it from over the water. Get a second name though. But Phil, I said, Phil, they can. I said, I'm not coming here anymore. I said, we've got the gates. Let's carry on. And I walked away. And Phil was saying, what are you? I said, no. I said, look, you've got the gates back. Don't need me anymore. You got these assholes here. They were claiming all this nonsense. They didn't even know about them. So I walked away from that, and I wasn't even invited to the unveiling of that. That's the jokes. The jokes. I like that little. I just seen a comment there. People like to steal others. You're right. Because it's others' thunder. Well said there, Phil. But that's the way it is, It's just things, and that's why, I've written a play about the wonderful, I can't see, you know. I'm going to recite this poem by Rupert Brooke, and it shows you the contrast, the comparing contrast of the horrors and patriotism. If you think the likes of, say, Shakespeare, our wonderful Shakespeare,
Yeah.
this sceptred isle, this blessed plot, this fortress built by nature for herself against the envy of less happier lands, this blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this teeming womb of royal kings. You know, that's a speech by Bolingbroke, and or John of Gaunt, and where you see the likes of Rupert Brooke, he wrote a poem. If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore shape, made aware, gave once her flowers to love her ways to roam. A body of England, breathing English air, blessed by the sons, blessed by the sons of home. And think this heart, all evil shed away, a pulse in the eternal mind, no less gives somewhere back the thoughts by England given. Her sights and sounds, dreams happy as her day, and laughter, learnt of friends in hearts at peace, under an English heaven. What he's saying there, and thoughts, you know, about the thoughts given, our thoughts, that's Shakespeare, though. The thoughts of Shakespeare. That's what he
Yeah.
meant. But, you know, how patriotic is that? That's just like going back to this precious stone set in the silver sea, this fortress built by nature for herself. It comes from Shakespeare, and he was a Shakespeare enthusiastic. Great, if you like.
Yeah.
So he's conjured all that up about uh, a soldier, and it's called A Soldier, If I Should Die. And it used to be read out every night in theatres and whatever. Always read out by an actor
Yes.
or an actress.
A great patriotic anthem.
Yeah, yeah. But compare that and contrast it with, I'm going to read a poem because I don't want to mess it up. Let me get it. Let's see if it's here. Who's that?
Don't know.
Just let me read this, if you don't mind. I'm going back to that, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is by, no, it's not. No, I'm sorry. This is by, I've already recited a poem by, and that was Dulce et Decorum. And
Yeah.
this is by
Yeah.
the same poet, soldier poet, by the way. What's his name? Any idea?
Is Wilfred Owen?
Absolutely. And it's called Anthem for Doomed Youth. Look at the title, people. Please look at the title. Anthem for Doomed Youth. It's like Rudyard Kipling's, if any question why we died, tell them because our fathers lied.
Yeah. Yeah. Truth.
It is true. An anthem for doomed youth. What passing bells for these who die as cattle? Only the monstrous anger of the guns, only the stuttering rifles' rapid rattle can patter out their hasty orisons. No mockeries now for them, no prayers nor bells, nor any voice of mourning save the choirs, the shrill demented choirs of wailing shells, and bugles calling them from sad shires. What candles may be held to speed them all? Not in the hands of boys, but in their eyes shall shine the holy glimmers of goodbyes. The pallor of girls' brows shall be their pall, their flowers, the tenderness of patent minds, and each slow dusk a drawing down of blinds. How powerful is that?
Absolutely. It's it, it's the most beautiful poetic journalism of what was going on, wasn't it?
Yep, yep,
And
yep.
just final line is so devastating as well.
And each slow dusk a drawing down of blinds. The thing is with that, everywhere has a drawing down of blinds to mark a death in the house, and it's to mark a death of their son, or the husband, or the brother, or the nephew. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And each slow dusk a drawing down of blinds. I'll just read out these and then we'll finish. Oh, let's see. I think let's see. Bella, a little poetess. Part one. A sacrifice in a short spell of fire and cold. Four men stood with spirits bold. They gave their lives for country and kin, while the red clay drank their sorrow in.
Wow.
And the poets don't know it. I like that.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you, Bella, for that beautiful thing. She's going to come out with part two in a moment. And poets don't know it. That's a cracker. Sassoon was brave to send that letter. People got shot at dawn for less back then. Yeah, see, Wilfred Owen became a friend of Sassoon when he went to Craig Lockhart. He was wounded, but Sassoon, he was sent there because he was an officer, you see, came from a privileged background, and he started lobbying MPs saying, what's all this going on? And
Yeah.
rather than stand him up against the wall and shoot him or hang him or whatever, they couldn't. So they sent him up there. He said, oh, you'd be a bit loony. But there's a big story behind Sassoon. And that's where he met Wilfred Owen, who was wounded. And, you know, they used to talk about each other's poems and whatever. And unfortunately, Sassoon, Wilfred Owen wanted to get back to his men. He wanted, excuse me, this. This itching is terrible. Why I use this, ladies and gents, is my nose becomes very itchy around here. It's terrible. It's very. Anyway, he wanted to get back. It was Wilfred's own. He said, "I've got to get back to my men. I've got to get back." So soon, on the other hand, he wanted to get back, and he was saying to these officers, "Listen, I've got to get back." So they said, "Well, okay, we'll send you back," because he wanted to get back to his men. And they said, "We'll send you back on one condition." He said, "Well, what's that?" "That condition will be that you don't lobby Parliament again about ending this war. This war of attrition." So he said, okay. So he had to sign a document to say that he wouldn't lobby. And that's how he was sent back. Because they said that, when they put him in there, that he was going off his rocker, in other words.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. So you're right there, poets don't know it. That's brilliant, though. Well done, lads. I made up that someone knows about these wonderful people. Little Donny. Is Shavash Park named after Noel Shavash? No, it's not. It's not. It's named after his dad, Francis Shavash. Shavash Park, who became the second Anglican bishop. And what he done for Liverpool, because he started the ball rolling to make the Anglican cathedral. That's why it was named after him. I've actually named, there's a big round thing there in the park itself. And when I was the historical consultant for Liverpool One, this big round thing that you see, I named it Compass Point. And the steps that lead up to it, the very light steps, I named them as well, because on them, where them steps are situated, stood the very first sugar warehouse, where the sugar cane used to come in. So I named them Sugar House Steps. That's the name of the steps going up, leading into the park.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Hang on, what's that? Oh, yeah. I think Phil's asking where's that? They put Kirkdale. No, it's in Anfield. If you're talking about the headstone. Oh, I think I'm talking about the wrong thing, because Donna's saying it's in the city centre, Phil, next to Liverpool One.
Oh, Shavash.
Oh, Shavash Park. Oh, right, okay. When I was talking about not being invited, to the unveiling, after
Yeah.
Phil says, "Blate it or blate them, Frank." And Phil says, "Frank, in the army, I think it's called Stolen Valley." Yeah. But you get these people who, they most probably are going around saying, "Oh, yeah, I got them." And they didn't. They knew nothing about it. Knew nothing about those gates. I did, though. Phil Daniel, it's not, he's an actor. I can't think of this lad, Phil. But anyway, it was good. I wrote, I forget the name of the bloody, it was a weighing place, very famous. They built, that you weigh things on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I forget
Yeah.
the name.
Scales.
Yes, Scales, yeah. And I forget the name. It's a well-known name. And they had these gates. And I said, they're from Liverpool. They went, but they fought to try. I think it was the East Midlands where they were, and they were fighting to keep them. I said, the Liverpool gates. I said, they're hanging off this bloody wall. Anyway, we got them back. They got them back. And the original gates of John Cunningham's 1841 Sailors' Home. Because I put it this way. I said, men were going through those gates from like the Crimean War to the Boer War, the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean War, and never came back through those gates. Not just Liverpool lads, but also lads from all over the country.
Yeah.
But they should be here because if you look on the gates, what you've got the liver birds, you've got sail, you've got everything on them. The liver bird that symbolises and personifies Liverpool, the city of Liverpool. Nowhere else. So anyway, we got them back. And we had them all done up again. Strengthened and whatever.
Thank goodness for common sense.
I never got the...
It's wonderful to hear common sense sometimes kicks in. Someone says, oh, yeah, give them back.
Yeah, he did. But anyway, poets don't know. It's a corner of a foreign field, yeah. The soldier that was called poet. The soldier, Rupert Brooke.
Yeah.
And Owen says, Frank, you should have been awarded the keys of the city by now. Oh. No, they just go to, thank you for that, Owen. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree, Owen.
Phil agrees. And Donna says, Frank, would you ever consider telling your life story if a book's published? Do you reckon you'd be invited to the book? No.
No.
With someone a ghostwriter, I would be invited. What do you need him for? It's the way it is.
Our wonderful Michael Kelly would have written that book for you, and you'd have been
Ghostwriter, yeah. Ghostwriter.
You'd have been
a lovely man.
Yeah.
Now there's a man who should be mentioned. Michael Kelly. Who'd know about Kitty Wilkins?
Yeah. Preparedly.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And Phil says, bloody hell, people get to know poetry and everything. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Just glad that you're here because look at the liver birds here, and Bella Italia and Toscana and our little Donna and maids up that there's ladies besides the lads. Lads who know, I keep saying, I'll say to Anthony, I say to Jason in private conversations that we have, that you chatters are absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And I'm not just saying that, I'm not flattering you. I'm not using flannel, never do. And the liver bird says to Owen, unfortunately, there will always be people within the council and other public bodies that need someone else's hard work for their own publicity. Brilliant. Mainly because they are lazy with huge egos.
And talentless.
Well said there, Liver. Wonderful stuff. Happens in business also, says absolutely it does.
Of course.
Indeed, she says. Unfortunately, that's so true. And poets don't know that. We're talking geniuses who knocked down the original, nearly bulldozed the Albert Dock, yes, and cancelled the Beatles festival weekend, yes, they're the same people. They are the same people. And there, right next to me, is a fella who knows about the Beatles. What you think of what he just said there? Knocked down the cavern, the original cavern, cancel the Beatles weekend. The geniuses.
Absolutely right. It's just nonsensical, it's just crazy, insane. But we have a history of that insanity.
Yes. You see, why you and I like poetry is I like poetry myself. I've always written it. And I read it out a couple of times to people and they said, get them published. Your poetry. I said, no. Didn't I, Anthony? I
Yeah.
said, no, I'm not getting them published. I always remember, what was his name? You know him well. I forget his name. It's shocking. I forgot his name. And he said, listen, Frank, he said, will you come down and can you write a poem about a pet? It was, I think it was like Dog Week or Cat Week. No, it was Cat. It was Cat Week. That's right. And I said, yeah, sure. He said, but will you come down and read it? Oh, what's his name? Good grief, he used to write for the Echo. His name's gone. It's gone terrible, honest. Well,
was he critical or features?
You know, he opens a shop actually over in New Brighton somewhere.
Peter Grant.
Peter Grant. That's him, Peter. He said, will you read it? Here's his house. And I went, oh, okay. And it's that poem I've written. Remember when I read it out on the show that's about
Blank
the cat?
Paper.
Yeah, Blank Paper.
I love that poem. I love it. Because
why shouldn't you get it published?
Yeah.
When I was at school, Wales War One was part of the modern studies. This has taken me right back. Thanks, Frank. Our teacher brought an old fella in who had been 19 on the front line and lost a leg. Unforgettable. That's brilliant, though. I did a play, didn't I, Anthony, called... and that was performed at St. George's Hall.
Echoes
of the First World War, just as echoes of World War One, WW1. And what it was great because we used the cellars and the big arches was used as trenches. And I had a sound recordist and I researched, the decibels that was used, that soldiers were listening to, with then the explosion. So every time I used to meet the people, and I had the poets, you see, as well. I mentioned poets and the poetry, the likes of Anthem for Doom Dude and things like that, Dulce, and also the soldier. Mention them. So to give them from the patriotism to the horrors of war. And I had the decibels, and every time we just went in like that, and the sound recorders just pressing a little button, and then and then the explosion. And I used to be looking at the people, and they used to jump because of the loudness, and they explained that's what they were listening to. It's only what you see in their live bears what that man went through, losing a leg, but he was listening to these things. It was very successful, and I was the first one. I was on Granada Reports, and I was talking about. I was the first person to write a play on the 100th anniversary of the First World War. Let more, says Phil. Tonight. Statue. Well done, Frank. We are running out of real Liverpoolians. Oh, thank you. Poets, that's one of my grievances. It was built by one of our great architects. Built by one of our great architects. And it opened its doors in 1828. John Foster Jr., the architect. And when you think that it easily could have been saved because an incendiary went in the top tower. I've got a picture of it. I wish I would have seen it before. I would have got it out. I would have got it out for you. Let's see if I've got it. And it's only to describe the thing itself. Let me see if I've got it. Please, just bear with me. Bear with me on this, people. I'm awfully sorry. I just want to explain. There it is. I knew I had it somewhere here. I'm just going to take it off, Anthony, a minute, just to show this. No, sorry. Please bear with me. And it's only to explain to poets don't know it. Bear with me on this, poet. Can I take it off, Anthony? I'm sorry.
Of course, Frank. No problem.
I'm awfully sorry, mate. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Right. That's it. That's the custom house. And this here, the dome, an incendiary went in there and it gutted 3/4 of it, that's all. I'm sorry that the mic's in the way here. It gutted 3/4 of it. This was far bigger than St. George's Hall, and it was the same stone. It was the same stone as St. George's Hall, and it was the same colour. What you see in St. George's Hall today, the beautiful colour of it, that was that colour, the custom house. And they pulled it down. It was a crime to pull this down. There it is. Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much, Jason. And there it is. On the top right corner there, that's looking down Castle Street, South Castle Street, because you just didn't have Castle Street. You also had South Castle Street. And there it is there today. There it is. Gone. With the custom house. Beautiful. And where you see the major picture on the left, that's the overhead railway. And the station was there to let people on and off to the custom house. And unfortunately, there it is there after the bombing. Well, it wasn't a bomb, it was an incendiary. And that's where it's being knocked down. It was actually, the Americans loved that. And I blame them too as well. Because the Americans were saying, listen, if you pull that down brick by stone by stone, we'll buy it off you. And the Americans didn't. So the stone, I'll tell you where you'll find stone. Where it marked as well. You'll find it if you have a look around carefully against the wall in Anfield Cemetery. Anfield Cemetery. So yes, it could have easily have been saved. Easily have been saved. Poets. Because the preservationists was screaming out for it to be saved. Unfortunately, it wasn't. It wasn't saved. Anthony, where are you? Oh, there you are. It wasn't saved. Frank, how about a poetry show, says Johnny. We do a when we do literature, and that's what we're going to do. People have written poems, and we're going to have a little poem show, aren't we, Anthony?
We are.
Bella Italia.
We've also got to dip back, into our kind of what was a fairly regular history and literature history, but then with the football and everything else and systems. So if we got the luxury of doing a couple of shows a week, then we will talk about the great poets and
Yes.
Yes. And recite.
That's what she says. Oh, about a poetry show, little Donna says.
Yeah.
And Phil says, my friends and his family have a huge Beatles night every year. They live in Wrocław, Poland. Go away. Wrocław. That's where was a Pope John Paul II came from Wrocław.
Yeah.
I'm sure he came from there.
He was a great socialist as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what? When I was in Rome, and he just died, a month or so. And I was going up to the top, and you'd have to pass the tombs of the Pope. We're going along.
Yeah.
Blimey, it brought tears to my eyes, because as we were walking along, Pope John Paul was buried, in his tomb. can't see him, but you just see the tomb there. And you see all these Polish women all kneeling down, praying.
I think he was a remarkable gentleman. I kept every paper, magazine. There's a real influx of news and stuff relating to him, similar to when we lost John Lennon. So I kept all the papers. I thought I'm going to do something with that. This is before the heads, just before, and someone got off with all the pictures, papers. Oh, never had it. Yeah.
And Johan says, the Black Cat poem was through Peter. Yeah, it was, Peter Grant. He's just sure, will you? I said, yeah, okay. Anyway, I did it. Went down, read it. And a couple of people, these were all poet people. Like, our new friend there, the poet. He just said, they said, like, why don't you get it published? I said, no.
Yeah. He'd asked me to get up and play guitar for poets at a couple of gigs.
Oh, yeah. Go away.
Yeah, I said, yeah, of course I will. Just let me know when.
Do you ever remember his girlfriend? I forget her name.
Kathy Roberts.
That's it. I said, when are you going to marry her? And invite me to your wedding. I'll be your best man. And she was laughing her head off.
I
don't know whether he ever got married or not. I don't know.
She lived on a canal boat in the Albert Dock for a while. Yeah, she's lovely, Kathy, yeah.
I haven't seen her for many years.
No, me too. Me too. Frank, it's as easy as that, you know.
And Phil says, apologies in advance, long quote, but that must be very relevant.
Yeah.
Okay. The lovely Bella. Thank you, Franco and Antonio, for honouring their sacrifice and keeping those memories alive. My family were there. My granddad, my great-granddad, on the Italian side, by the way. They were at the front. Well, they were stopping the Turks from coming over in the First World War. Shocking what they did.
Yeah.
And they kept them at bay. They didn't want the Turks near the German front. And in the Second World War, they were with the partisans, my family. Fighting the Germans. As my granddad said, how could you be with allies? How could you be with allies in a world war which lost millions of people, and then sides with the people who murdered, your friends? That's how we put it over.
Yeah.
Well, he was a partisan anyway.
I know.
Family were, he was still in Italy. Thank you, Bella.
Thank you, Bella.
And Phil says, I believe as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group know what it's all about. Yes.
Is that a quote?
I don't know. Could be. I believe it's something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group know. I think that's the quote there. I believe is something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. And then, yeah. And Ali from Romania. Good evening. Good evening, Ali.
Hi.
And the poets don't know. Wow, I've never seen a picture of it before. I heard from older relatives that it was the jewel of the city. Yes, it was, and it looks like it was. It certainly was. You're talking about. You're talking about this. Oh, that's the inside of it. See, what you've got when it was gutted, the firemen were in there and all the water. And then when the Americans said, can we have it? And he said, yeah, but we want it stone by stone. He went into the centre of it. I wonder if that picture's there. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. There's the picture. They went in, they started knocking that down, unfortunately. They were demolishing it then. But they were leaving the outside because that's what the Americans wanted, the outside, with the columns and whatever. And they just said, oh, we don't want it now. And it was too late because they started. And that was in 1948. And they
That
demolished it.
stinks of envy, Frank, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look at it. Shocking. There's
Ah,
one of the greatest staircase, cantilever staircase. Isn't that brilliant?
yeah.
That's a cantilever staircase, people. Not holding it up, only the walls. And that had to go. I'm made up you showed that, Jason. What a man. What a man.
Yeah.
And you say, look, that's how it was. Look
Ah,
at it. Look at it, people. That's how it was. It was just gutted. And then when the Yanks said we love it, they started knocking it down. Like that. So from that to that. You see? From that was all it was. Gutted. And it's sickening. Look at that staircase, cantilever.
ah,
Incredible stair. It went right around, I'll show you what I mean. It went around the dome there. That's where it led up to that. The staircase right up that dome.
yeah.
Top of the dome. Isn't it sad, Anthony?
Yes, Frank. It is. Yeah.
Oh, I hate it, it really annoys me. And it's all poets' fault. Isn't it, Anthony?
Well,
He mentions it, you see.
he did. He brought it up, didn't he? And then,
Yeah.
well, past pains are now visible.
I'll tell you what, poet, where do you live? Do you live in Liverpool? Because I'll give you a picture of it if you want. I'll give you a picture like that. I've got a spare one here. Can you see it? Hang on, where am I? Sorry. I'll give you the picture like that. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you a picture like that. If you live in Liverpool, come and see me. And I'll give you that. No problem. There it is. Look at it. Jeez.
Amazing.
And Phil says at least 21,000 new millionaires and billionaires were made in the United States during the World War. Yes, that many admitted their huge blood gains in their income tax returns. How many other? Yeah. That's your quote, isn't it? At least
Yeah.
21,000. They're all being made millionaires and billionaires now, by the way,
Yeah, I know.
through the MIC, military industrial complexes.
This planet does not need billionaires.
And the lovely Liver Bird says, I'm so glad the algorithm brought this up. What a lovely crowd of people. Won't be in tomorrow. I'm digging out my inner Scot and going to a friendly at Hill Dickinson. Good night, all. Sleep well.
Good night, Liver Bird. That's great.
She must be bloody mad.
Great
Hill
share.
Dickinson. Well, I was going to try and get to the match there. I won't go now. Not after being called a murderer. Murderers, I can't get over that, Anthony. That's an half upset. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
It's still prevalent, isn't it? With some.
It's just absolutely uncalled for. It's mental. I don't understand that at all.
And the poet said, to knock that down is actually criminal. It was. You want to see what we've knocked down? They wanted to knock the Lyceum down, poet. They wanted to knock that down only. They wanted to knock down the Collegiate only for me. They wanted to knock down the White Mansion House. They didn't know the history behind that only for me. They nearly destroyed. They nearly destroyed the annex to the municipal building, only for me. They would have just took everything out. Shocking what they wanted to do. That building would saved it. And Paul says, thanks for that, Frank. Much appreciated. No problem. And Phil, was the Paddy's wigwam built in the way of the lunar capsule? No, Gibbard. He was actually the architect. That's all. So Gibbard, he said, he looked around and he admired some cathedral. And that cathedral was in Brazil, in the capital of Brazil. And people think that the capital of Brazil is either Rio or Sao Paulo, and it's not. It's Brasilia. And he admired the round cathedral there, and that's what inspired him to do a round cathedral. Know what I mean, Phil? And he says, Churchill was in charge of the Gallipoli. Yes, he was. Oh, the lovely Bella. Buona notte, Franco and Antonio and all you. Wonderful family. Isn't that lovely? From our Bella. Good night, Bella.
Good night, God bless, Bella. Take care. Might see you tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. And Bella, what a wonderful night of history. Thank you very much. No, thank you for joining us, Bella.
Yeah.
And as you Italians say, mille grazie. You're spot on. War is a racket, says Phil.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my little mate.
Yeah.
Karen. Hiya, Karen. Hey, boys and followers. So sorry I'm late. I will re-listen later. Hope everyone is well. Remember when we were saying about Karen and her husband, Steve?
Yeah, yeah,
And she said, we take you to bed.
yeah,
I don't know what. But
yeah,
we bring the laptops. They just laughed, you know what I mean? And hubby. And
yeah.
you're in the middle of us. We're watching you on the laptop. You know what? He missed the show. So that'll be happening now when this finishes.
Well, we'll talk quietly to make sure that we don't keep anyone awake.
And Johan says, we know more what Churchill did than he could remember. No wonder he was an alcoholic. Yes.
Yeah, and a shit artist.
Horrible. And Venny, the Viking. Good night, Live. Good night, all. Thanks for a very nice evening. Thank you, Venny.
Good night,
Very
Ven.
good that you were with us. And I think that's Sula, Phil. Frank, you want to fat on the chase. Never watched. I used to watch that years ago. I've never watched it. I don't watch the
Nah, I can't
get
watch it.
on. No, he says get on. You want to get it now. But thanks for your, you know, your thanks for recommending me and your trust in me. But Donna, thanks for tonight. Good night, everybody, especially you, Frank and Anthony. Isn't that lovely?
That's
See,
lovely.
see the little heart there, Anthony.
That's your heart.
Oh yeah, that's for me. It's nothing for you.
Not for
And when
me.
when the girls give kisses, they're all for me. They're not nothing for you.
I know, but I got all the bevies.
You get all the drink, I know, and I get all the kisses. I'd rather have kisses though. And our Clive has been with us all the time as well. Lingerham. It has been a go. Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great night. Thank you, Clive. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Clive.
And the
Thank you.
poet says, I said, no, you say buildings, Frank. I
Many
don't
of
own them. I don't own them.
I know we'd be in the billionaire status if you did, but you saved them for some other billionaire to buy them.
And the text says, your students must have loved you. The storytelling is the best, especially about our brilliant city. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Ted. Thank you, mate. Oh, there's lovely. Come and see me sometime. No one comes to visit me. Tell you loads of things. Karen, always Frank. They are see the innuendo there with the laptop.
Yeah, always Frank. Yeah, and the kiss.
Yeah, Aaron Steve. Lovely couple, really lovely couple, you know. Bernard Gerrard used to be on with me. Anthony, you should have heard us trying to get when she first came on, you know, commented.
Yeah,
She heard me and Argera trying to pronounce her surname, you know, Kariako. And they were laughing their heads off. Her and Steve, her husband, they were laughing their heads off. They said we'd never laughed so much. You know, well, what's that? You know, Kurt. Me and our Gerard. Have you never met our Gerard?
no,
You'd love him, you know.
I feel they have because you talked about him so much, but like Steve, you talk about Steve Mulholland.
Yeah, yeah.
I I feel I've connected with a lot of people
You'd
here.
love them. You'd love them.
Met them.
It's like any of them on here. Thanks, Karen. Love you back. I remember reading about Quentin Hughes saving the Albert Dock. Well, the Albert Dock, I'm being honest, who saved the Albert Dock poet was Michael Heseltine, because they were knocking it down. And when Thatcher sacked him and demoted him to being Minister of Merseyside, he came up and he knew the history of the Albert Dock. And he said, "What's this? Am I knocking it down, Michael? Don't. Don't you realise what that is?" So
Wise man.
Michael Heseltine, and he got all the money to what's there today. But Quentin, he was good actually. Don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from him. Honestly, I'm not. But it was Michael Heseltine. Without him, that would have been well gone. God knows what would have been in its place. And Phil says Churchill, easier to Biden before Biden had thought of it. Yes. Yes. Ted's brilliant night, Frank and Anthony. Thanks for you. Thanks for all you do in keeping our history alive. Well, I love our city. I love our city just like you. Honestly. And Paul says, seriously, Frank, thank you for saving our heritage. That's what it is. It's our heritage. You should have seen what they wanted to do with it. I was actually lecturing up in Hope University when I got wind that they were wanting to pull down the collegiate. I said, don't you know the history of that? I said, don't you know who built it? They go, well, these are city planners and stupid councillors. They haven't a clue. Like the White Mansion House up in Calderstones. I said, don't you know the history of that? And you want to pull it down to what? Build what? Why? What's so special about it? I said, it was the ancestral home of Spencer Perceval. Sir Spencer Perceval. Who's he? I said, he's the only British Prime Minister ever to be assassinated. That's who he is. And you're wanting to pull it down?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Georgian building. An ancestral home. You wonder why I get excited with them. And the Lyceum also. Bloody damn. You can't make these things up.
You can't know.
And Phil says, instead of watching the experts on Russia and Iran, I have watched your show with a smile tonight. And that's brilliant. Thank you, Phil. No, I watched that myself. I do. I'll tell you what I'm doing this week. Normally, I will talk a little bit about Iran, and obviously, what's happening. But I'm going to be doing this Friday conspiracy theory, and you're gonna enjoy it. That will be the main focus on that. This is this Friday. Tarzan, yeah, that's what they called him.
Yeah.
That's what they called him. And poet says Tories have some use after all. That was the only thing.
Only one.
Exactly, just the one. But he likes Liverpool. He really likes it, honestly. And now, Johan, smash the likes if you haven't already, legends. Thank you, Frank and Monsieur Antoine. Great show as you. I won't spoil it, but are we doing a D&B case too? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we are. We are tomorrow. Johan, should be good.
Thank
Very.
you.
He's good, isn't he?
He's the best.
And the poet says, didn't Churchill send battleships? I've just mentioned that. 2 frigates to train its guns in 1911 on our strikers, who went on strike for the fabric of life. That's how they named it, the fabric of life, to sustain life. And that's what he did, the first Sea Lord sent to get them. So you knew what he meant about. We all know what he thought about Liverpool. The Northwest in general, really.
I know.
Like the Queen Mother, she wanted the Grand National to be sent down to Sandown because they wear funny cloth caps up there. That's what she said. The Queen Mother.
Was never a fan, Frank.
Sorry?
I was never a fan of hers.
Oh,
Never liked any of her records, books, films. Not.
books and films. Terrible singer, though, wasn't she?
Oh my God, yeah.
Because I always remember her when she was. I thought she was trying to take off. I'm leaning on the lamppost on the corner of the street until a certain little lady passes by.
Yeah.
Oh, me.
Now, I like George Foreman.
George Foreman, that was it. It was with a little flat cap on and a little banjo.
Oh, like one of them Northerners.
Yeah, like one of them Northerners.
Gosh.
She didn't like us.
Mutual.
That is Abdul. Hi, Frank and Anthony and chat. How are you? Likes and subscribe. Thank you.
Abdul.
Thank you, Abdul.
Hope you're good.
I'm all in. I'm all in. Do you mean you're knackered? And Johan, Frank, have I mentioned that I visited Eric Arthur Blair's? No. Beto when I was in Bank. No. They call him by his legal name here. I can send you. Please do.
Please do, Johan. Oh,
yeah, I can get the images. That'll be fantastic.
We have talked about doing a special, at least half a show, on that particular wonderful gentleman.
Eric Blair, yeah. The greatest visionary of all time. Well, him and Leonardo, I'd say. Then we have to bring in, so we've got to bring in HG.
HG, yeah.
Oh,
the three.
So we're doing a special on them, aren't we?
Yes. Definitely, Frank. And definitely, Johan, for the photos. That would be just fantastic, that. Yeah.
Oh. Johan, you're a good one. I sent you an email, Johan, about films to watch.
Yeah.
last one. Get the last one. I sent you the list. Then I just watched the film and I went, oh. And I put that on the last. So the last email I sent you, watch that. It's good. It's good. Well, I think so anyway. I forget what it's called now. The Queen Mother must have said that in between Nazi salutes. Them, who was it? The Minford sisters.
Yes.
The Minford. With the Jamelines too and all that.
Yeah.
Isn't he, Kyle?
Yeah.
That's it. I've watched it. What did you think of it? What did you think of the significance of it, Johan? I tell Anthony to watch things, and he doesn't watch them. Don't say you do.
I do.
No, you don't, you liar.
Granted, for the past 3 weeks or so, I haven't watched anything.
I know, I'm only joking because you're busy. Anthony.
Because I watch the films that Johan.
Anthony, listen to me. I want you to sit down on the couch, right, with a glass of grouse. You and Lainey, and you've got to watch this.
Is it only a short film?
It's very short. It's a little little sketch.
One glass of grouse, I mean.
Watch it. And it's Russ Abbott, the lie detector. If you don't watch it, I won't talk to you ever again. And I want you there.
By next we meet.
You and Lainey just sit down. I've only got to get Lainey to search on YouTube. Russ Abbott, the lie detector. It's only a short sketch.
Okay.
I was actually watching it today. Again, laughing me stupid head off. I've showed her Francine. I showed her Francine the other day.
Yeah.
And she was, she was laughing her head off. Look at this face tattoo.
I can't paint pictures when I'm laughing. I'll be painting pictures to just finish them. I'll be all over the show, be like a Jackson Pollock.
Please watch it, ladies and gents. Watch.
I would have watched it.
The lie detector. Oh. It's so funny. And the poet says, they hung Lord Haw for treason when he wasn't. Yeah, he was a New Yorker, but the Nazi king, the Edwards and Mrs. Simpson fella, got to live his life out in the Caribbean. Yeah, Paris. They went to Paris and with the butler. And the butler was a black man, Parisian, and he told a story. He's dead now, this Parisian, because he said Edward, fancied him.
There you go.
If you know what I mean. Because he was gay, the other fella, the butler. And he fancied him. So you can imagine what was going on there.
Yeah.
In Paris, then in the Caribbean. Johan, Significant Other was a thriller classic. It caught me by surprise because I thought the lady was the one who was cloned. I won't say any more, lest I spoil it. Yes, cracking, isn't it? I thought you'd like it because I watched it. I watched it, and I watched it. Have a look at the time I sent that. I just finished it. I'm watching it because it's late hours in the morning. I think it was about 3:30 in the morning. I sent you it at 4 o'clock or something like that. And the poet says, "Night, folks, got to be up early tomorrow." Thank you, Frank. No, thank you for joining us, poet.
Yes. Thank you, poet.
Thank you, mate. And good night.
Oh, Phil.
Says Phil. Johan.
Night, Phil.
Watch teenagers from as well.
I think I watched that years ago, but I will, Johan. I've got your list. I'll come. Well, very soon. I'm taking time out to watch.
It's so funny. It's you've got to watch it. You won't believe what you're watching. Honestly, with the teenagers from outer space. Oh, look, there's our little window. Frank, how do you remember all these facts? Just amazing. I wish I had your memory and all the historical facts.
Yeah,
Don't.
brilliant.
Night, night, Frank, Anthony, and Fred. Isn't that lovely? Thank you, Karen. Give Steve my regards.
And I
When you see
totally
that.
agree with what you said about Dr. Frank here. You know,
And I
wow.
hope Donna, when she said she missed the opening, didn't she? The
Yeah,
opening of the show, and I told her about King Charles
of course.
introducing me. Can't believe it. Could you believe it, Anthony?
Well, I kind of had my suspicions about it. You know, when Jason put up the royal warrant on the intro, I thought Charlie's going to pop his head in.
Yep. Because I brought him around, didn't I?
You did?
On our birthday, 800th birthday, 2007.
Yes.
The situation's most insoluble. So I made up with the introduction, by him. I hope little Donna's made up. I had Karen as well, because she came on late. Wait till she sees it. Her and Steve with the laptop in the bed.
Oh, floor them. It'll floor them.
Anyone else was late. And on that wonderful note, I've got to thank these wonderful people who sponsor every show, every podcast that I do. Gap Painting Services, the fully time served, fully insured. If you're an NHS or elderly couple, get them in, you get a special discount. Honestly, they're first class. If you want a reference, then come down with references and show you. If you don't fit into those categories of NHS or being elderly, just get them in, don't struggle. And let them give you the price without any obligation whatsoever. That's Gap Painting Services, the wonderful people who sponsor all the shows that we do, from our history show.
Yeah.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, to sports, conspiracies, everything.
Everything, including Karen Kariaku's and Steve's laptop.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch it. Yeah, just watch him.
Yeah.
King. I couldn't understand him though. Could you? The way he speaks.
I have spent enough of my lifetime in pubs listening to people talk after last orders. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Don't like that Harry fella though. And Phil says King Charles still had as a groom of the stool. Yes. I'm not leaving that up. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave this Karen's up. I'll just say, Anthony, besides Jason, who do we have to thank the most?
Oh, we owe a absolutely massive thank you to our wonderful chat family. Absolutely brilliant. Takes us on such a journey.
Do you know how long we've been on for?
About 2.5.
Yeah, nearly 2.5 hours. No, nearly 3.5 hours.
Here you go. See, that's all that bug wittery with the clock going forward, backwards, sideways. Our clock always goes sideways. So, you know, what
Phil
time?
says, on that
It's
note, thanks for a good show. Learning and laughs. Thank you, Phil. Thanks for being with us.
on good night, mate. We're back tomorrow, laughing.
Yeah.
Well, not laughing all night. We've got a heavy one tomorrow.
And Johan says, I'm at that point in life that if I can get by just saying, all right, I'm not looking back.
That's brilliant.
It's just a Liverpool saying it. All right.
All right.
As you know, Johan.
Yeah. Good, bad, indifferent. All right.
And Phil says, Frank, you need to tell everyone to hit the likes. I always forget, I'm being honest. That's why the likes at CW comes on. And, a lot, even Johan, he says, hit the likes. I forget, and I need the algorithm up there, I really do. I think I've done a recording for tomorrow. So have a look out for that. Thank you so much, people. Thank you. I really appreciate what you have, for keeping Anthony and myself company tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Right, Andy?
That's absolutely bang on, Gaffer.
And on that wonderful note, I'll leave that there for Phil. I'll say good night. Good night, everyone. Good night, Andy.
Good night, Frank. Good night, everyone. Good night, Jay. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Keep the comments enabled on the video. I don't understand that. You're talking to a fella who hasn't a clue what that enables on the video.
Phobe.
Oh, okay. And on that note, thank you. Adamani, as the Italians say, ci vediamo. Adamani. Ciao.
All right.